Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and today I'll be reviewing the Rossignol Sawblade. This board is equipped with Rossignol's Amp Tech Auto Turn Rocker. I know that's a mouthful, but to break that down, what that means is you have a tiny camber zone right in between your feet here, like literally probably 8 inches wide of camber, and then rocker from there on out. So what that's going to do is it's going to make it super easy to maneuver, especially if you're just starting out snowboarding, but it's going to give you a little bit of precision in between your feet so it feels like you're on a camber board, but with that turnability and extra float if this is going to be your only board. The Sawblade comes in a 145, a 150, a 155, a 155 wide, and a 160. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where it started off as a warm sunny day, but don't let that fool you. The snow conditions were still really firm, even a little bit icy. I did have high hopes for a nice slushy warm day, but about halfway through the day, the weather changed on us. It got overcast and the sun would try to poke out, but really nothing would happen there. And then it got a little bit windier, like some weather was blowing in. I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. When it comes to overall flex, this board is definitely softer than the middle of the road, and as you work your way out to the nose and the tail, it gets even softer. When you torsionally flex this thing, make sure you are paying attention because you can just torsionally flex it super easy without even thinking, so you might end up setting an edge that you were not planning on doing. When we translate that into stability, it is going to be a very soft, lively board where you're going to want to avoid those push piles and all of that stuff just because you're going to get bounced around on it for sure. You're going to feel all of that underneath your foot. It did cut down on some of the micro vibrations, but still for the most part, you're going to feel that resonating through the board. This board doesn't have the greatest pop out there, I'll say, just because of how long the rocker sections are in this board. It feels possibly a little bit washy, I would say, where when we get to the jump section, keep it on that smaller line. The medium line is definitely pushing it where it felt washy on the takeoff and the landing, especially if you didn't pop off it. I would definitely recommend popping at least a little bit just to keep that edge hold there and keep a little bit more control on the takeoff and the landing. If you're gonna spin this off of something on the medium line, I would definitely make sure that your spins are dialed in, because if you over rotate it, you're just gonna keep spinning like a helicopter out there. Since I'm guessing you're new here, make sure you like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the new videos we have coming out. This board definitely excels in the buttering category where you literally just slightly lean back and that nose will pop up, or vice versa, lean a little forward, that tail is gonna pop right up. Super easy to hold, super long rocker zone there. That's just gonna be a nice big sweet spot. When you translate that into jibbing, it feels pretty much the same on a rail as it does on flat ground, where same thing, almost like a cheat code on rails for tail and nose presses. When you're sliding it sideways, try to land in that camber zone. It'll hold there really nicely. If you land a little bit outside, say underfoot or towards the nose or the tail even, it's gonna kind of slide away and try to fall off that rail a little bit sooner. So make sure you land right in between your feet, not underfoot. I was actually very surprised when I was carving this board. It holds an edge extremely well, where you can lay that thing down on those short, tight turns and it's gonna hold you. Actually, it felt possibly even a little hooky where you decamber the thing. The whole contact point would be on and it kind of just wanted to keep turning on you. But when you get to those medium and larger carves, it felt pretty good. There's definitely a speed limit on it just because of how much rocker is on there. So you'll feel those nose and that tail flopping up and down on you, so just keep that in mind. Apart from that, on the smooth groomers, it carves really well. It holds an edge well. You can Euro carve on it. Just keep your weight centered and just mind those heels and toes so you don't catch those things and start tumbling. Rider in mind. This board is designed for somebody that's an advanced beginner or a mellow intermediate, where they want to progress their riding. They don't need something that's going to be too aggressive, but they still want to be able to hold an edge and really work on those fundamentals. But then they're also a little bit part curious, where they just want to get in there, try those smaller features out, and really kind of push their skill level and just advance a little bit more there. If you want to support us in a different way, why don't you head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. We have a great video getting into it really in depth, so I don't have to explain it here. I like this board. I thought it actually held an edge better than I expected. I really didn't expect this thing to be able to hold an edge. It felt like it was going to be just a soft turd out there, but it really surprised me. Like, it was a fun board to just mess around on. Like, if you are that intermediate to beginner rider that like needs to progress or wants to progress a little bit more, like everybody does, I mean, this would be a solid option in my opinion. I had fun on it, and like I could ride it in the slush and have a great time, I think. So overall, solid board. I definitely excels in buttering and jibbing, but it'll still hold an edge just fine for you. Comparable boards: the Capita Ultrafear, the K2 World Peace, and the GNU Money. Recommended bindings: the Union Strata, the Salomon District, and the Bataleon Fly. This has been my review of the Rossignol Sawblade. Since you guys are just starting out, you should go check out one of the reviews for our beginner boards.